You are leaking $500 every single month because your bank account is fighting your biology. Most budgeting advice fails because it demands willpower, but James Clear's Atomic Habits offer a different path. By shifting your micro decisions at the point of purchase, you can automate your savings without feeling a single cent of sacrifice. The third technique I use removes the choice entirely, making wealth accumulation a byproduct of your daily routine of water, settle in, and get right to the heart of how your brain processes money. Most of us look at personal finance like it is a Herculean task requiring constant, agonizing self discipline. We assume that to get rich, we need to white knuckle our way through every grocery trip and fight the urge to buy coffee for an entire decade. But that is the wrong way to look at it. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, explains that you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. If your system for saving money is based on being a hero every day, you are going to fail. That is just how the human brain works. It craves ease and it avoids pain. So, instead of trying to be perfect, let us build a system that works even when you are having the worst, most expensive day of your life. The first method is what I call the path of least resistance. It is the easiest win you will ever get. Most people struggle to save because their money is too accessible. If you see $5,000 sitting in your checking account, your brain perceives that as permission to spend. It is a psychological trap called Parkinson's Law, which states that your expenses will always rise to meet your available income. To beat this, you need to use a concept Clear calls environment design. You have to make the bad habits invisible and the good habits unavoidable. My friend Sarah tried this last year when she realized she was leaking nearly $400 a month on impulse online purchases. She didn't try to develop better willpower. Instead, she removed her saved credit card information from every single website she used. It sounds small, right? But that extra 30 seconds required to go find her physical wallet and type in those 16 digits was just enough time for her brain to snap out of the impulse loop. She stopped making those late night mindless purchases immediately. In the first month alone, her retail spending dropped by nearly 70%. It was an easy win because she didn't rely on being a better person. She just changed her surroundings. Think about your own digital footprint. How many apps have your payment details already stored? How many subscriptions are just one click away? Take an hour this weekend. Delete those saved cards. Unsubscribe from the marketing emails that make you feel like you are missing out on a sale. Make it harder for your past self to sabotage your future self. Now, here is where things get interesting. Once you have built that first layer of friction, you are ready to level up your system. This brings us to the second method, which is the concept of habit stacking for your savings. Humans are terrible at starting new behaviors from scratch. We are much better at attaching a new action to a habit we already perform every single day. Let's look at the data. A study published in the European Journal of Social Psychology found that it takes anywhere from 18 to 254 days to form a new habit. The average is about 66 days. If you try to force yourself to be a saver, you will quit within a week. But if you connect saving to something you do regardless, you create a feedback loop that feels automatic. For example, every time you buy lunch, you move $5 into your high yield savings account. Or every time you pay your rent, you immediately transfer 10% of the total toward your emergency fund. You aren't saving. You are just automating a secondary action that follows your primary behavior. It becomes part of your routine, like brushing your teeth. If you find this approach helpful, hit the subscribe button. I release these deep dives every week, and I'm going to show you how to apply these systems to every corner of your life. Sticking around helps you build that habit of growth. And I have something even better coming up next that will make this all click into place. All right, you have made it this far. So let's get into the heavy hitter. This is the one I have been saving for you. It is the strategy that actually changes your life. It is called the 2-day rule. The biggest reason people fail at financial goals isn't that they spent too much once. It is that they had one bad day and decided the whole system was broken. It is like the all or nothing mentality that kills diets. You have a slice of cake, so you decide you might as well eat the whole box. In finance, you buy a fancy dinner, so you decide to skip your savings transfer for the month. Stop that. That is the quickest way to ruin your momentum. The 2-day rule is simple. Never miss twice. If you miss your savings target, or if you accidentally overspend one day, that is fine. It happens to everyone. Just make sure you do not have 2 bad days in a row. That is the trigger for long-term success. One mistake is an incident. 2 mistakes are the beginning of a new bad habit. When you adopt this mindset, you remove the guilt that usually leads to total abandonment of your goals. You allow yourself to be human without letting yourself be reckless. Consider the power of this shift. Most people try to be perfect for 365 days. When they fail on day 12, they get discouraged and quit until January 1st. By applying the 2 day rule, you accept that you will have days where you slip up, but you refuse to let that slip become a slide. This keeps you in the game for the long haul, and that is where the real compound interest happens. Think about the math. If you save $500 a month at a 7% return, you will have nearly $43,000 in 5 years. If you miss a few days here and there, but keep the system alive, that number stays roughly the same. But if you quit because you aren't perfect, you have zero. Zero is the only number that truly matters in this context. So, let's recap what we have covered. First, you designed your environment to remove the friction of spending by killing those saved credit cards. Second, you used habit stacking to tie your savings to existing routines so you didn't have to rely on willpower. And finally, you adopted the 2 day rule to protect your long term success from the inevitable human mistakes of a short term day. Once you see your money through the lens of systems rather than willpower, you cannot unsee it. It changes everything. You aren't just saving money anymore. You are building an identity as someone who effectively manages their resources. If this video helped you feel more in control of your financial future, please share it with one person who you think needs to hear it. It helps the channel grow, and it might just be the push they need to start their own journey. Subscribe and stick around. I have a new strategy for maximizing your time coming next week that works perfectly alongside these money systems. You have the tools now. Go build the system. It is worth it. Every single time you make that choice to stick to your system, you are reinforcing the person you want to become. You are essentially casting a vote for your future self. It isn't about being rich by tomorrow. It is about becoming the kind of person who is always moving toward a better place. You have total control over that trajectory. Just keep stacking those small wins. That is how the biggest changes in life actually happen. I will see you in the next one.